Okay, we're back with part 3 of how to polish aluminum. And as I said in the last video, we're going to work on polishing this piece that we've been sanding on. So we've finished the all the stages of sanding just on this front face of this part. And so from there, we're going to move to the buffing machine. And on this, I also talked about trying the sisal wheel with some emery compound just to show the effects of this really corroded area, how that may or may not work. We'll have to see how it turns out. What I've run into in the past is it'll get through some of the lighter stuff, but it just embeds those aluminum oxide particles deeper in the metal, and you just don't get as good of a final finish as if you went this route with sanding with the block and getting all that material out of there. So anyway, I've got 2 wheels loaded on the buffer. On this left wheel, I've got the sisal wheel. We're going to be using some emery compound, and I'm just going to do that for just a test area just on this coarse part, just to see how it turns out. The other wheel is going to be the sewn cotton wheel, and I'm going to use the brown Tripoli compound on it. From there, I'll probably pause the video, swap out to my loose wheel, and run the white compound for the finish on this, just to see how it turns out. So bear with me. I'm going to reposition the tripod and get set up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, and one more thing before we go any further. Needed to stress about the safety equipment that you need to use when operating this thing. This is just a cheap buffer I got from, I believe, Harbor Freight. And believe it or not, I've had it many years, polished many things with it, and it's held up really well. They make some better units out there. Baldor makes extended shaft buffers that are a much better unit than this, but for a home hobbyist, this is a cheap way to get into it. And I've had this thing for better than 10 years, and it's still holding up, so it does okay. But as far as safety equipment, I like running a full face shield just because this thing puts off a lot of just real fine, just black sooty stuff, and it's going to get all over you. So that's why I like running a full face shield, and it gives you a little bit better protection. Also, you need to wear a mask because those particles can obviously get in your lungs. I've also got a half face respirator that I also wear, when I can. Gloves are a must, but not just any kind of gloves. I've got these are just some chainsaw gloves. The reason why I picked these is they're loose fitting gloves, and as you can tell, I've done quite a bit of polishing in these things. But the reason why I wear loose fitting gloves is if you ever do get a workpiece to hang up on you, these things easily pull off of your hand instead of your hand coming with it. These things can hurt you quick, so just pay attention and be careful. Don't wear loose fitting clothing, because if it gets wrapped up in a wheel, it's just going to keep on going. So just some safety issues to keep in mind. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start polishing. Like I said, the first thing I'm going to try is that emery compound with the sisal wheel, and we'll see how that does and go from there. I'm going to go ahead and put my safety equipment on. All right, and especially on new wheels like this, they're going to take a little bit more compound just the first dress of the wheel, but you don't ever want to go overboard on your compound. A way that you can tell that you put too much compound on is you'll start getting like grease lines on your workpiece, and that's because this compound is made up of just wax and basically sandpaper grit. And that wax will start building up on your piece, and it'll affect the quality of the work. So a little bit of compound and do it often is what the professionals say. So, and I'll kind of demonstrate that after we get going a little bit. First thing I'm going to do is emery compound this wheel and just try a test piece on this. And see, now that the wheel is saturated, basically all you do is just about a second or two, and that's all the compound you need, and then you can go back to work. And you're not having to put a lot of pressure on the wheel when you do that. And you can see that it's already started polishing up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but you could still see some of the pitting and some of the darker areas. And that's what I was talking about with the oxide. And obviously you can see some scratches still in the workpiece, and that's just because we're using such a rough wheel and a rough compound. So from there, we're going to switch over to the sewn cotton wheel with the Tripoli compound and try the finished piece that we had started on. And you can see the wheel starting to turn black, and that's just the aluminum coming off of the wheel, calling it the discolor, and that's what you're looking for. And notice how that, when I'm working at it, the wheel's rotating down and your workpiece is being pulled down to the floor. And I'm also working on the opposite edge, the leeward edge of it. If I tried to work on this piece, or definitely that hard edge there, it would grab the workpiece out of my hand and rip it away and possibly hurt you. So always keep those hard edges away. So like if I've got to polish this side and I've got a hard edge, then I always leave it on the downward stroke of that, never on the upward stroke, because it'll rip the workpiece out of your hand. So we'll continue to polish this a little bit. And like I said, just light pressure. You don't have to get crazy with the pressure. And then after you've done a little bit, apply a little bit more compound, just a little bit. And you can see that that's already getting a pretty good shine on it. I've still got a little bit of haze marks. For some reason I've got a pit that was exposed there that I didn't see when we were sanding it. But basically that's a pretty good finish. And that's using the Tripoli compound. And what I'll do is I'll do a little bit more with this. And then I'll switch over to I'm going to switch over to my loose wheel with the white compound and see if we can get a little bit better shine than that. So let me finish up a little bit more with this, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so that's pretty much our stopping point there. I'm going to pause the video for a second and switch over wheels to my my white wheel and then white compound wheel, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I switched over to the loose cotton wheel, and if you remember in the last video, the difference between these two wheels, this one is sewn. It's a spiral sewn wheel, and that gives it a little bit more backbone. And like I said, you can use this wheel for your finished polish. If I had another wheel, which I do over there in the box, I can use this type of wheel with the white rouge, and that's fine for a finished polish. This, it seems to me that I get a little bit finer finish out of these loose sewn wheels as my final polish. So I've just always been partial to those. So we've switched over to that. We're going to use our white rouge and see what type of finish polish we can get. So we'll fire it up and put a little bit to dress the wheel for the initial time, and then just like the other ones, we'll just add periodically. And I'll try and get a good light on that. You can see that's a pretty good finish on that. Yeah, that's a good way to show it there. Got a little bit of hazing mark. To get those out, you can use either a little bit of talc powder, or sometimes just putting just a small amount of water on it. And you can get those out, but there's still some buff marks that I'm gonna work on this, but as you can see, that's getting pretty close to what you want. All right, like I said, that's getting pretty close to the finished product of what you're looking for. Still needs just a little bit of work. You can see some small surface scratches. Some of that is the dirty rag that I just tried to wipe it off on. But you know, it's getting pretty close. It's got a good shine on it. I'm trying to get it in a, yeah, you can kind of see like that. It's got a pretty good mirror to it. Still some light hazing on it. And like I said, that's just with working with the final polish and a little bit of either powder or water to get that last bit of haze mark out, and then you're good to go. So and some of that, some of the light scratching on there could also be caused with getting the wheel on the outside of this rough area is dragging contaminants back into your polish. And that's why I said, you know, if you're gonna polish a piece, do the whole thing for that stage, and then go to the next level, and that'll help get any contamination or anything like that. But pretty happy with the results of that for just a demonstration piece. Hope that helps answer your questions, and if you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments. Thanks.